Welcome back for another edition of Pinellas Courtside Connection, where we bring you inside the Pinellas high school basketball scene with a look back at recent scores, check in on the countywide top 10 rankings, and look ahead to an upcoming week of exciting basketball. I'm Kevin Fisher, and once again, I will be your host for yet another episode of Pinellas Courtside Connection. Later in the show, we will be joined by former Northeast high school basketball coach and basketball guru himself, Tyler Baynard. Coach will be able to give us a unique perspective as we approach the district tournaments coming up, how to prepare for those games, and all that can be on the line. Coach has had a great opportunity to catch up on some of the local teams, catching them in action, and we look forward to hearing his insight later on in the show. Well, district tournament week is upon us. It's an exciting time of year. We get to that point of the season where for many, it's win or go home. We have districts coming up, and we had a little bit of a taste of last week. We had the PCAC Championships on the boys and girls side. It was the girls taking the stage on Thursday night, Lakewood hosting Clearwater in a rematch from a game earlier in the season, but Lakewood proving to be too much for Clearwater. Clearwater trying to win its fifth straight PCAC championship, but it was Lakewood coming out on top with a 56-37 win in that PCAC championship game. We had Lakewood. We had on as a guest last week, Maya McIntosh tabbed as the player of the game for Lakewood, leading the way with 16 points, 7 rebounds, 4 steals, stuffing that stat sheet as she always does. And it was Lakewood capturing their 12th PCAC championship since the introduction of that current format. On the boys' side, wow, if you didn't catch it, what a thriller. You had Gibbs hosting Seminole, a rematch of a game earlier in the year that Gibbs won convincingly. Gibbs having not lost to a county team all season long, and Seminole gave them everything they could handle. A triple overtime buzzer beater for the Warhawks proved to be the difference in a back and forth battle. Seminole coming out on top for their first ever PCAC championship. Congratulations to Coach Walker and the Warhawks in certainly a hard-fought battle, a game that came down to a buzzer beater, a 3 at the buzzer to win it by 1, a winner-go-home shot. Or actually, it was a go-home shot for everyone in the building because it was a lot on the line. Great championship atmosphere, great playoff atmosphere, playing for a little bit more than just that win and loss record, in a great way to set the tone for district tournament week with the PCAC championships. Such an exciting time of year. We talk about it quite a bit, the team aspect of it and how important that is to celebrate those team wins. Yet we're also at that time of year where so many individual milestones get reached. When you have 52 teams in the county in action, it's inevitable this time of year that there's milestones to be celebrated. Last week it was Keswick senior Ava Graham completing the scoring triple crown for the Crusaders. Already the school's all-time leading scorer. She set the single game scoring record earlier in the year with a 34-point effort, and she set the single season record for points in a season as she eclipsed the 500-point mark in a game earlier last week against Bogey. Again, it's Ava Graham setting the scoring triple crown for the Crusaders. She reached over 1,000 points. Another 1,000-point scorer on the leaderboard there, Michaela Pascal, becoming what I believe is the first Largo taking into the records books. Regardless, Michaela Pascal, lots of hard work in the offseason, working on always developing her game, reached the 1,000-point plateau as a junior. Certainly an awesome milestone to reach in a high school career, but to do so as a junior, quite an amazing accomplishment for the Largo Lady Packer. I look forward to seeing Michaela down the stretch and certainly in the years to come. On the boys' side, is Ace Taylor. We talked about Ace a little bit earlier in the year. He had a 46-point effort against Seffner, and simply amazing individual effort there. Sidelined with an injury, and he found himself just short of the 1,000-point milestone. Had a chance to catch up with Calvary coach Keb Burley early this past weekend. They were able to get ace that 1,000-point milestone, get him in for an early layup in the game that pushed him over the milestone. A great way to celebrate a great high school career for Ace. Hopefully, there's a chance that Ace finds his way back to the court if Calvary makes a deep run, but certainly a great tribute to the commitment and dedication for Ace, reaching that 1,000-point milestone, joining that 1,000-point club for this year on that leaderboard. And then on an individual side, Ethan Sabick from Calvary, another Calvary Warrior, eclipsing the 40-point mark. An amazing effort from Ethan, scoring 41 points on his final day as a 15-year-old, apparently. Quite an effort as Ethan dialed in, connecting from deep with 8 threes in that game, finishing with 41 points and a win over Wesley Chapel. Always great to celebrate those milestones. As you look at the 1,000-point scorers, you have Nicholas Bearden, Jordan Taylor, simply some great talent on that leaderboard. Maya McIntosh, who we talked about earlier from Lakewood, and Alani Lovett as well, 2 teammates reaching the 1,000-point milestone, an amazing accomplishment in itself as well. Lots of individual accomplishments, lots of team championships or the conference championships, and lots to digest. We'll dive into the rankings as we look up to some shuffling amongst the rankings on the girls' side. A little as has been the case all year. 1 through 5 remaining the same. Lakewood securing that spot as a top team to beat, and holding on to the number 1 spot in the county with a 17-4 record as the Lady Spartans get ready for the postseason action with a tough district lineup in their district in 4A. Gibbs checking in at number 2. Keswick, their 3rd straight 20-win season. Coach King reaching the 674th career win. Quite an amazing career Coach has over at the Crusaders, and the consistency of stringing together 3 20-win seasons. Yes, I have a biased opinion, of course. I will never deny that, but an amazing run for the Crusaders through the regular season. Clearwater finishing as PCAC runner-up after capturing 4 straight PCAC championships. Always a tough competitor. Coach Dublin and the Lady Tornadoes checking at number 4. And CCC with another 20-win season to its credit. They had a tough battle with Sun Lake, certainly gave itself a good test as they get ready for the postseason, and finished off the regular season with back-to-back wins over Hollins and Osceola. Moving up to number 6 this week, Calvary checks in at 16-3. They've won 7 straight, I believe it is, as they move up on the leaderboard to number 6 in this week's rankings. Countryside dips to number 7, and Palm Harbor sits at number 8. Palm Harbor, winner of 7 of their last 8. You may ask, why do they find themselves at 8, just below Countryside? But it was Countryside topping off in that head-to-head matchup with a 10-point win earlier in the year. And as our top 10 rankings here give certainly more weight to the county results, Palm Harbor getting the edge at Countryside getting the edge at number 7, Palm Harbor at 8. And we have a flip-flop at 9 and 10. Once again, St. Pete Catholic running off 3 straight wins, moves up to number 9 as they improve to 14-11. When you think about the Lady Barons playing all season long without Liv Giartano, their leading scorer returning as a junior. Look forward to seeing her back on the court as a senior, but certainly a great run for the Lady Barons this year, finding ways to win, finding ways to navigate, and just simply finding defensive battles, some low-scoring games, but doing what they need to do to come out on top. Seminole, so close to running the table at the end there. They had a 2-point loss at Manatee. It was a 3-point dagger at the buzzer that gave Manatee the win over Seminole, but it was Seminole taking home the last regular season game with a win over Slam. So that rounds out our top 10 on the girls' side. We'll take a look over at the boys' side. Probably some anticipation as far as who may be number 1. Does Gibbs hold on to that spot? Does Seminole move into that number 1 spot? PCAC Championship certainly has a lot on the line, but Gibbs holds on to that number 1 spot simply because of everything that's happened all year long. Gibbs and Seminole splitting the season series, with Seminole winning obviously the most recent, but Gibbs winning convincingly earlier. And it was Gibbs, their only loss in county in that PCAC championship. So Gibbs holds on to the number 1 spot simply based on the season-long results in county. Seminole had a couple losses earlier in the year, but again, not to knock the Warhawks, moving up to number 2 on this week's rankings, and with the PCAC championship, I think they will gladly dust off that trophy for years to come, and probably discard these rankings before they can get a chance to even process what just happened. Eastlake moves down to number 3, with Seminole moving up. Countryside quietly having a great year. They lost 5 of their leading scorers last year, sitting at I think it's 16-8, moving up to number 4 this week. Lakeside Christian checks in at number 5, dipping 1 spot, and you have St. Pete High School at 6. Calvary checking in at number 7. It's Calvary making a run, with back-to-back wins over Newsom and Northside, get back on the winning track in the final stages of the season. Big wins for Calvary down the stretch as they bump their record up to 14-10. Bogey with a tough second half of the year. I think Bogey had 2 games. Last week they lost by 4 points to Countryside, 62-58, and ended up beating Largo by 2, ending up on the winning side of things to end out the season in their season finale. Again, it's been a tale of the tape for Bogey as they battle down the stretch. They had a number of games decided by 6 points or less. Bogey's certainly going to be a tough out down the stretch. Northeast checks in at number 9, and Largo at number 10. Congratulations to Coach Price, an amazing career over at Largo. A great send-off for the Packers. It was great seeing all those tributes and the pictures and all the alumni that came out to support Coach Price in that season finale. Just an amazing career for the Packers head coach as he winds down an amazing career leading the way for the Largo High School boys basketball program. So that's it on the rankings. We kind of cruised through that a little bit with district tournament week upon us, and certainly the concentration for this week. I'll take a dive into the district breakdown on the boys side first. You have the boys side, you have games on Tuesday, the quarterfinal matchups. Thursday is the semifinals, and Saturday will be the district championships across the county. It's a little bit different format this year when you have the boys and girls battling the same week in their district tournament. Normally they would be staggered a little bit, with the FHSA shuffling the schedule for a number of factors, including finding ways to improve the Final Four experience in Lakeland. We find the district championship week on the boys and girls side following the same week. Certainly some great matchups as the week unfolds. We'll go through quickly as you look at the 2A District 10. You have across the county 26 teams competing in 7 different districts. Certainly a chance for some great championship runs. But again, taking a look at 2A District 10, Lakeside Christian checks in at the top seed. They'll face the winner of Keswick and Canterbury. Again, a tough district in District 10 for 2A. You have 2 of the number 2 and number 3 teams in the region in this district, with Lakeside checking in at number 2 and Admiral Farragut at number 3 in the latest region rankings. And you have Indian Rocks looking to take hold of that number 8 spot. They checked in at number 8 in the last rankings. Again, the rankings will update after district play, and they will take the 4 district champions from each district in each region, and then the 4 highest ranked teams move into those other 4 spots. So a chance for teams to still grab a spot as we come down the stretch. Slam will be the number 1 seed in that region. Convincingly have that spot in Region 3. But again, Indian Rocks look to make a run and make some noise as they hope to grab a spot and unexpectedly maybe knock off an Admiral Farragut team that is back and looking to be healthy, hopefully, for that stretch run. 3A District 10, tough district again. The Calvary will face the winner of St. Pete Catholic and Northside in their semifinal matchup, and then Shorecrest and CCC matchup on the other side. It's going to be the district champion will move on to the regions in this district. It's just such a loaded region. You have Berkeley Prep, Tampa Catholic, Tampa Prep, Braden Christian, and a whole lot more. So it's going to take a district championship most likely to push the winner on to the regionals. Unlikely to see an at-large bid. So lots on the line in the 3A District 10. 4A District 10, got Gibbs obviously with a bye earning that top seed. And Lakewood quietly checking in at the number 3 seed. The amazing thing with Lakewood, I know they've had a bit of a down year, lots of a young team. They sit at number 6 in the region despite a 9-14 record. And why, you may ask? Strength of schedule. Strength of schedule is an important factor in these rankings. They have the second highest strength of schedule in the entire region in 4A. The only tougher schedule belongs to Gibbs. So certainly a great opportunity for Lakewood to put together some solid results down the stretch with a chance to take a regional spot and advance to that state series. We'll move on quickly going through 5A, District 9 and District 10. It's the one classification that spans 2 districts. On the boys' side here, you got Seminole with a bye coming off that win against Gibbs. They'll face the winner of Hollins and Osceola. Northeast and Clearwater battle head-to-head. Again, in a district that has purely been up for grabs. You've had earlier in the year, Osceola beat Northeast. Northeast beat Seminole. Seminole beat Clearwater. It seems like everybody's beating everybody in 5A District 9. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Seminole likely to be the number 2 seed in the region. Certainly lots to play for, but looks like they will be moving on as we look ahead to regionals in the coming weeks. District 10, this is a big one. Lots on the line for Bogey. They face Parrish in the opener with a chance to face Braden River in the first in the semifinal, and you have St. Pete with a quarterfinal bye, and they'll face the winner of Sebring and Southeast. Bogey, we mentioned it before, they have 5 losses by 6 points or less, all in the month of January. That will cause Coach Kaysen hair thinning, graying, whatever it may be. Hopefully not too many sleepless nights, but as they come down the stretch, look for those close games that have prepared the Pirates as they go forward. Bogey and Northeast both in a position where they could possibly grab a regional spot as they're on the outside looking in. Certainly will need some run through districts, but both teams certainly have shown that they are capable. 6A District 9, we'll look at it quickly here. Largo faces Gaither in the quarterfinals with a chance to face Lido in the semifinals there. And then Countryside facing Hillsborough, and it's Pinellas Park against Wharton in the 6A district. Countryside sits at number 5 in the region currently, so a title run would certainly help their case, still with a chance to advance on to the regionals. Largo needing a run, maybe a fairy tale ending for Coach Price. If Largo could go through, make a run to the district title, would be great to see. And then rounding out the Pinellas County teams on the boys' side, 7A District 10, Eastlake with a bye. They will face the winner of Sickles and Palm Harbor. Plant on the other side gets the number 2 seed, and they'll face the winner of Alonzo and Steinbrenner. Lots to take in, lots to process, lots to digest there. And as we look ahead, there's so many factors that go into district tournament play. Sometimes you're facing teams for a second time. The preparation all year long is to win that district championship. And for that reason, we thought it'd be a great opportunity to bring in a former coach, and Coach Tyler Baynard. Coach did an amazing job over at Northeast running the program for the Vikings. It's always coaching. It's an amazing job both on and off the court, I will say, because I had a chance to see get a good seat. Coach's success over at Northeast. Coach stepped down from coaching, but the good thing is we can't keep Coach out of the gym. You always find him around catching high school basketball games in action. Coach, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us.
Kev, what's going on, man? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So excited to have Coach Tyler Baynard on this week's edition of Pinellas Courtside Connection. Coach, just take a second and walk us through a little bit your ties to basketball in the area and just your passion for the game and everything else coaching-wise.
Yeah, so, for the people who don't know me, I was the head coach at Northeast for 4 years. I had coached there for 12 years, got into it right out of high school, played at Northeast. Knew my talents weren't going to take me very far. I was good, but I wasn't great. But I knew that I wanted to help kids. I wanted to be around the game. So, got into coaching under Coach Redding, kind of worked my way up, and had a nice 4-year stretch as the varsity head coach. Decided kind of at the end of that stretch, I had a plan going into my I turned 30. So going into my 30s, I was I had a kind of a vision of where, I wanted the program to be at, where I wanted to be at as a person, some things that I wanted to do. I graduated 10 seniors my last year. So I thought that was a good point for me to step down, I wanted Coach Murray to take it over, which I'm glad that they hired him. He was in a really good position as far as the young talent that he had coming up. So, decided to make that decision, and have enjoyed the last 2 years for sure. Without all the added headaches that basketball coaching can bring. But like you said, it's when you're passionate about something, when you love something, it's hard to stay away. So I do keep myself connected in many ways, and one of those ways being keeping up with you and Ms. Jones through what you guys are doing here. So, on behalf of all basketball fans in Pinellas County and beyond, we appreciate you. We appreciate you guys putting this together and all the hard work that goes into it.
I appreciate that, Coach, and always good to have you. I think it speaks a lot to when you leave a program. We always say you want to leave a place better than when you got there, and certainly a testament to you, because I think the program has continued to grow and continue to flourish as you've handed the reins over. Coach Murray, the Vikings having a great year this year. Some win, some that you're not supposed to lose, some that you're not supposed to, but I think that comes with the young team that they have. But again, kudos to making it just a great transition in what was a great move for you personally. Now, for years, and one of the chances that I really got to know you off the court a little bit was just through the toy drive and your passion for doing beyond just the game. This past year, the annual Rick Baynard toy drive at Northeast, a great opportunity to bring people together, but also to give back. Just talk a little bit about that and how much it means to you. I know it's Christmas time, but it's also always a great conversation.
Yeah. So the toy drive. So I was actually going through some of my old files, and I found a file from 2015 that said toy drive idea. And, I took over the program in 2018. So I'm thinking 2015, and I open it up and I'm like, man, where did this, because I had always wanted to do something. When you're not the head of a program, you want to get involved, and then you want to, you want to kind of let the head coach do his thing and kind of not keep some things to yourself, but, just introduce them when the time is right. So I opened up that file, and it literally just said like people donate toys instead of, all the ideas that I had. So when I became the head coach in 2018, I had the opportunity to make that vision a reality. I'm a big believer in using basketball as a vehicle to mold, better young men, obviously better young women on the female side. I feel like high school athletics, misses a big opportunity to do that a lot of times. I think a lot of coaches get wrapped up in wins and, losses, and not that that's a bad thing, but for me personally, it's basketball and coaching has always been something where I aim to, again, mold good young men and give back to the community, and, make sure that my program is known for more than just basketball. So yeah, it was really cool, man. This year was the 6th year. It was the 5th year. We had 2020 kind of threw things for a loop as the whole world, was kind of having to change. But yeah, it was the 5th year. This was by far the most successful year. Unfortunately, in 2022, my father passed away the day after the toy drive game. So, my dad was a big reason why the toy drive game started in the first place. He was the most lovable, caring person in the world. So I wanted to find a way to kind of make him a part of it. And I thought, turning it into a memorial in his honor was something that, was very easy, was very doable. And yeah, like I said, this year, man, was by far the most successful that we've had. We expanded the event to two varsity boys games. And I'm looking forward to continuing to expand in the future. I haven't got to jump on the planning for next year yet, which puts me behind a little bit, but I know that we got some time to get it to where it needs to be.
Oh, for sure. Certainly a great initiative to support and to be a part of, being able to catch those games over at Northeast. Once again, we're joined tonight by Coach Tyler Baynard, former Northeast basketball head coach, basketball guru from all things Pinellas County. Coach, not sitting in the coach's seat anymore. I have a little bit of a different perspective watching games. What are some of the things that have stood out to you this year as you watch Pinellas County basketball? Man,
the young talent is off the charts. we got an 8th grader scoring 24 points a game, and is it Nijan? Is that how you pronounce his first name?
Yep.
Yeah,
that's what we've been going with, at least. So I'll do respect him as well.
He's incredible. I got to see him live this year against Shorecrest. But just the young talent all across the county. I'm still pretty connected to Northeast. Coach Jay, that's my guy, so I'm checking in with him, every couple of days, and I've seen them probably more than any other team in the county. They have, two sophomores, a freshman guard that's been chipping in. Their leading scorer. I think their 3 leading scorers are junior, sophomore. They have a really good freshman guard, Gibbs, that goes without saying, all the young talent that they have over there. Looking across the board, just at the young talent, that's something that, 15, 20 years ago, it would be really, really, really tough, for a freshman to start on varsity. And I think just as basketball has progressed as a game, kids have kind of started to specialize, earlier and younger. And these kids are coming in more prepared, more ready than ever. So that's the one thing that's really stood out to me, is just all the young talent, man, and how these young kids are succeeding and really, really adding meaningful minutes to good varsity teams.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, we've talked a little bit about it throughout the show, and just the parity across the county. I mean, you go to top. I mean, obviously Gibbs set itself at a different standard, but even though we saw Seminole capable of knocking them off, if you go down 15, 16 teams in the county, I really think anybody could be anybody on any given night.
Absolutely. And that's part of, district week is, everything leads up to this. You could be, I've always said for years, you could be 0-25 heading into your district tournament. You win your district tournament and you can win a state championship with having, 7 wins under your belt. So, this season's been, I've kept up as much as I can. I haven't got to see some teams that I had on my schedule, just life happening and being a public school teacher. I know people think I'm rolling in the dough, but got to do some things to pay the bills. So I didn't get to watch as many teams. Mainly Lakewood and Largo were 2 teams that I did not see at all this year that I really wanted to see. I was really trying to get to Coach Price's last home game. But I know that we're going to get to it a little bit. I think Largo and Lakewood are teams that can make a little run here. So, I still have time to see them this year.
Yeah, we'll start with the Lakewood side of it. I mean, you have a 4A district that includes Gibbs, but Lakewood, a young team. I know I think they lost a lot. Again, I've seen Lakewood girls play more than I have seen the boys side. So I can't really talk to the specifics on it, but you look at them on paper, a young team. They sit at 9-14, I think it is, but they've played a loaded schedule, and because of that, they find themselves with a chance to advance to regionals. As you prepare, how important is it from a coach's side and just a preparation to get that mindset? Everybody's 0-0 at this point. It's kind of what we do from here on out can really make or break the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Lawrence, one of the best coaches in the county. I mean, year in and year out, he produces no matter what he has out there. So yeah, the mindset going into this week, man, it's win or go home. It has to be win or go home. Because it is, and I know that there's some teams that, let's say Gibbs goes out and they lose, they lose in the first round of the second round. Like, they're probably still going to advance based on the the standings and the way that the FHSA is doing things these days. But yeah, it has to be a win or go home mentality. You don't really want to go into the district week, saying, oh, well, we have to completely change, the way we're thinking now that the postseason is here. A good coach and a good team are going to have that postseason mentality from game 1 through game 25 and then into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's so important from a coach's side just to have that roadmap where you want to almost think backwards and where do you want to be on game 25, and now how do we get there piece by piece, game 1 through 5, game 6
Absolutely.
through 10.
And a big part of that, like you mentioned, was Coach Lawrence and coaches know their teams, so they know what they want out of their teams. 9-14, and they have this. I think you said the second or the third strength of schedule in that region. So Coach Lawrence, he knew what he was doing. He knew that his team was, going to be tested night in and night out. He knew that, whether they won or they lost, they're still learning. They're still, those losses sometimes. What's the saying? A good loss is better than a bad win, something like that. And that's true with the way these rankings are now.
Yeah. Yeah, you talk about that too. Is the few years back they made that change where it used to be district champions and runner-up always advanced. For some of the districts, it was win one game and you moved on. Some others, it's obviously a little bit of a tougher challenge. As a coach, as a basketball fan, do you like that change? Would you rather see the old way? Do you like the rewarding the tough schedules, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, there's pros and cons to every way to go about it. So as a coach at Northeast, I was part of two regional advancing teams. In 2011, we were runners up to Gibbs, so we automatically advanced. We ended up knocking off actually Clearwater in the first round, and then that got us slated with a rematch with Gibbs. And that year we played Gibbs. I think our region's semifinal game was the 6th time that we saw each other. Because back then you had to play your district teams twice. We saw them, I believe, in our Christmas tournament. We saw them in the district tournament. Yep, and then we saw them in the region. So that was the 5th time that we had seen them that year. And I think we beat them once, but they might have gotten us all 5 times. So, but yeah, with we were right around 500 that year. Mm-hmm. So with the new rankings, we probably wouldn't have advanced that year. And we probably wouldn't have been able to get that regional win. And that's the only regional win that Northeast has gotten probably since the early 2000s. So that was really important. On the flip side, 2016 as well, Coach Redding's last year, just got to shout that out. We lost in the district championship to Largo, but because we were the district runner up, we were able to advance. We probably wouldn't have advanced had, the new system been in place. Now, if we're looking at, an idea of like, well, we want the best matchups, and as we move into the state tournament, I totally get that. The ranking system makes sense. I know that when they rolled the ranking system out, I was still coaching. We had a lot of questions about, well, what goes into the rankings? What if you lose to a really good team? How many points is that? So I still don't know if they figured that out. The rankings seem to be figuring them out pretty well. Yeah. Based on the teams that I know, around the state that are always top contenders. They seem to be, kind of right where they should be. But yeah, I could see with the new format, you might have a team that struggled throughout the year. Once the ad drop date comes towards the end of January, where some ineligible players become eligible, you might be a completely different team. You know what I'm saying? And you might be peaking at the right time. You lose in that district final game, and you're probably better than the team that's going to eventually advance. But so you might lose out on some things there. I think this is probably the better way to go. Right. And if you want to, the best solution is just to win. If you want to advance, you have to win in these district tournaments.
Yeah, no doubt. And I don't think it devalues the district tournaments at all. The one thing I do like about it a lot is it does a better job of avoiding those facing off against the same opponent 5 times. Because the old way, it was if you won in advance, you were facing your district championship, or your district runner-up, your district finals. We're meeting head-to-head again. So it's hard enough beating the same team twice in a season. Never in 3 times, 4 times. It just becomes a challenge. So I do like that.
That 2011 Gibbs team scarred me with that, man.
I can imagine. It's like a nightmare. I can imagine facing the same team that many times in a year. You talk about Northeast a little bit. They're in a spot where they've proven that they can beat some of the top teams. Can they make a run, and how important would that be for a Northeast team like that?
Yeah, I think Northeast, and I think there's a couple teams across the county that they're right there, and like they're maybe the 3, the 4, the 5 seed, depending on how many teams are in their district. For Northeast specifically, they've proven that they can play with anybody and everybody. I know they beat Lakewood earlier in the year. They played competitive against Gibbs. They played competitive against St. Pete for a couple of, for 3.5 the majority of the game until they got wore down a little bit. They're really young. I think that can probably be said about most of these teams in similar situations. They're losing games, they're losing close games, but they're learning. And hopefully all those close games that you lose, like I know you mentioned Coach Kaysen, my boy, my former teammate. 6 losses, less than 10 points just in this month alone. I guarantee you that's gonna pay off. If it doesn't pay off this year, that'll pay off sometime in the future. These kids will remember they'll remember how those close losses stung. They'll remember the mistakes that they made in those close losses. So yeah, I think there's a couple teams that can, that might not be the Gibbs and have the allure of programs like that. But I do think there's teams like Northeast who are, kind of been right in the middle of the road, but they've proven that they can play and they can beat anybody.
Yeah, it's always tough, and you kind of try to block out everybody else in the region and kind of really focus on what you need to do to win that game. It's a little bit of a different setup this year too, with having the girls and the boys both in the same week. It's truly like a tournament week feel.
So is it Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the girls?
Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the girls.
Tuesday,
You got
Thursday, Saturday for the boys.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for the boys. You have the bracket reveal show will be Saturday for the girls and Sunday for the boys to see who goes to the regionals.
It's exciting, man. As a coach and as a fan, this is absolutely the most exciting time of the year. As a coach, I know from experience you're worn out. This depending on where your team is at, this is kind of like, all right, we made it. We're close. Never, as a coach, you never want the season to end, but at the same time, you kind of want the season to end sometimes, especially if you're not like my second year as our head coach. We had some kids transfer out. We won 2 games that year, and I love those guys to death. They stuck with me the whole year, but as a team, you're just completely defeated. You're completely worn down. And you're like, all right, here's the district tournament. If we can go out there and win it, that's great. But dang, I'm ready for a break. I'm ready to take some time off to reset, to figure out what we need to do moving forward. But this is an exciting week. I'm excited for all my coaching brothers out there who are preparing their teams and who are ready to make a run.
Yeah, and just we touched a little bit on the 5A and the 4A districts. You look at a 3A district that includes Calvary, CCC, Shorecrest. There's one team that's likely going to advance out of that one. It's truly that win or go home mentality. Calvary's had some injuries back and forth, but for the 4 or 5 teams that are in that district, it comes down to this week. I mean, anybody can make that run. How do you deal with that pressure, and how do you prepare the kids for that pressure, or do you ignore the pressure?
It's tough. I mean, it's tough, and you try to keep things loose as a coach. You try to keep things loose. A lot of my preparation for the districts, it's watching film, it's going in, it's getting shots up. At this point, you don't need to be having 2.5 hour practices where you're pushing each other and you're scrimmaging. It's keeping it loose. It's keeping it light. Everybody understands the ramifications of what's going to go down that week. So yeah, it's just it's got to be that win or go home mentality. It has to be. There is a lot of pressure, but I always coach a lot of my teams, to answer the question, what is pressure? Pressure is nothing. Pressure is something that exists in your mind. But if you go out there and you do what you've done all year, what you've been coached to do, what you've trained, what you've practiced, then pressure doesn't really exist.
Tennis great and legend Billie Jean King has a great quote: "Pressure is a privilege." You don't get the pressure if you're in that spot. That's it. Something that's really resonated with me, and on that side, I have to ask, and only because we love seeing you around. Any itch to get back into coaching?
Ooh, a little bit.
On the spot, coach.
a little. I mean, I get it every now. When I pop into a practice, I'm at Pinellas Park High School now. I'm working at Pinellas Park High School. Just hearing the guys in the hallways just talk about the game, and I know that they did not have a very good year this year, but they have some good young talent over at Pinellas Park, so I can see things turning around next year. I've had a couple people ask if why don't you get in there? Why don't you help out? And like, I don't know, maybe this next year. I don't know what I'm even going to be doing with my life, in the next few months. So I definitely have the itch, man, as far as like games and practice and building the relationship with the kids. And there are absolutely things that I do not miss at all. I'm sure that any coach that's listening to this knows exactly what I'm talking about, so we don't have to get into details there. But yeah, there's occasional itches. I don't think I'm ready to dive back in head first yet. Because when I run a program, as you know, and as anybody who knows me knows, that's my number one priority. And it goes a lot deeper than basketball, and it's a year-round thing now. So, you really have to have the mindset that you're ready to be in, fully committed, 100%. And then you're looking to take your program to the highest of heights.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think one of the things you quickly learn when you dive into the coaching is you think it's all X's and O's, and you realize how small of a part the X's and O's plays into coaching.
Oh yeah, it's night and day. I was fortunate when Coach Redding was nearing retirement. He kind of started prepping me. He had me doing a lot of the head coaching, duties. And at 20, I think I was 24 or 25 at the time. I started realizing, like, man, Coach Redding coached me in high school, and I was like, man, I start to see and I start to realize why, coaches do things the way they do, and they demand what they demand from their players and from anybody involved in their program. And it definitely makes sense because, it's your baby. Your program is essentially your baby, and you want to see your program successful, just like I can imagine you want to see your children be successful.
I think it's you touched on it earlier, and it's such an important part. So I'd say whether you're coaching or not, just the relationship aspect, that the relationships you're able to build through basketball, whether it's with coaches, parents, referees. I still love shooting Coach White a text every once in a while, checking in and seeing how his bowling season's going. But such an important aspect of the game when you can use it as a platform, like you've done with the toy drive. You've done so well with relationship building. And challenging and encouraging. So appreciate all that support along the way, Coach. Always welcome in the gym, and we'd love to see you on the sidelines, whether it's catching a game and supporting or coaching up a team.
I'm going to definitely be around this week. Going to try to catch. I know you sent me the matchups. I'm going to try to see. I know I'm going to get out, I think, to the 7A District 10. Maybe see what Eastlake can do. That 5A District 9, I mean, like you said, it's wide open, man. Seminole, that's a huge win for Seminole and for Coach Walker. Shout out to Coach Walker. That's my boy. I've looked up to Coach Walker for a lot of years. That's just an incredible win for his program, for his kids, for that Seminole community. But like you said, that district is, it's wide open. I think you asked me earlier in the outline of this, you said, which team can you see, maybe sneaking up on somebody, making a little run? I think any of those teams in 5A District 9, outside of Seminole, people are going to know Seminole's coming. I think Northeast, Clearwater, Hollins, Osceola, all four of those teams have proven that they can play, night in and night out with anybody, and they can be sneaky good.
Yeah, and especially so much talent on those teams. A guy like at Osceola with Talon Brooks who can really light it up, and you get that they've proven that they can shoot themselves into any game. Anytime you have a long range threat like they do over there, it's
very well coached, very disciplined. They're going to do what they do no matter what. They're not going to let you. They're not going to let you take them out of their game. Coach Eddie's a great coach. It's another one of my boys. I definitely miss the brotherhood of coaching. I still check in with some of my guys occasionally. But I love watching. I love watching how successful, even if they're not successful, man. I know that they care. I know that the coaches care, and that's something that I would leave anybody watching this with. Players, parents, administrators. Anybody that's watching, like just support. Just be supportive. Your coaches, head coach, assistant coaches, they are doing so much more than you even realize. And I know we live in a time now where it's if you're unhappy, you go somewhere else. If you feel like you feel like coach doesn't like you, you're not playing, like, you just got to work. You just got to put the work in. You got to be better. We got to have, parents to hold their kids accountable and not just say, oh, baby, you're the best. That coach don't know what he's talking about. We're going to go to this other school. There's totally good reasons for transferring. But for the most part, man, these coaches, they care, they put in the work. Nobody wants to be bad. So for anybody listening, just, if you're part of a not so great program, you should want to be the reason that program turns it around. Whether you're a parent, help out with the concession stand, ask the coach, like, what can I do? What can I help you with? That's one thing that I think I didn't do well enough early on is trust other people to help me, make my program successful. So my last year I had a lot of my senior parents step up. They basically ran my concession stand with some other volunteers. And if you're part of a struggling program, it's definitely not easy by any means, but really buy into that 4 years. And when you see where you were at to where you end, just that progress alone, man, can, it's just a really good feeling.
Yeah, awesome. So well put, Coach. And thank you as always for joining us, Coach Tyler Baynard. Joining us here on Pinellas Courtside Connection. I know you'll have your boys brackets there circled and where you're going to be going. And if you're looking for a seat on an off night, you want to catch a girls game, Kesik's playing over at Canterbury on Wednesday and hopefully again on Friday. So
yeah, that's right. That's right down the road. That's right down the road for me. So I might have to get in there and check that out.
Always welcome and always great to see you, Coach. Thank you so much for taking time. Just break things down a little bit, kind of help put things in perspective. Great catching up with you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Once again, we're joined by Coach Tyler Baynard, former Northeast High School boys basketball coach, former Northeast Viking basketball player, a face in the crowd who you will recognize and is often around the gym scene here in Pinellas County. Just a great coach, great person to be committed to help support and encourage programs across the county. Well, we've talked a lot about the boys basketball side of things. As we start to wind down the show, let's take a dive into the girls brackets a little bit. Again, tournament week, jam-packed week, lots of games. You have in the 2A District 10 side, you have Keswick and Lakeside facing off in the semifinals, and Canterbury and Indian Rocks meeting. It's Keswick, winner of the last 6 district titles. They've won a district title every year since 2018, and certainly in a position to hopefully run the table here in the district again. Again, biased opinion, of course. Canterbury sits at number 7 in the region, and it would be a great program building run if they could advance to that district final and have a chance to book a spot in the regionals. Great job over there by Coach at Canterbury. That's District 2A District 10 rather. 3A District 10. You have CCC with the bye. They're facing off against the winner of Northside and Shorecrest, while Calvary and St. Pete Catholic battle in the other semifinal. It'll be a tough one, and it's kind of an up for grabs. CCC certainly the team to beat with a 20-3 record. Calvary on a bit of a run down the stretch. Young team that's continued to improve all year round, led by a group of freshmen and sophomores leading the way for Calvary on the girls' side. Face against a tough defensive team in St. Pete Catholic should prove to be a great matchup in 3A District 10. 4A District 10, arguably probably the toughest district in the state on the girls' side. You have Lakewood, you have Gibbs, you have Academy of the Holy Names, just a loaded group. It's one of the few 8-team districts actually on the girls' side. It's Lakewood certainly comes in as a team to beat as the number 1 seed, but you have Gibbs knocking on the door. You have Academy of the Holy Names, certainly a tough contender. Coach Chris Severini over at Academy of Holy Names picking up his 200th career win just last week, and as a group of seniors that can certainly shoot lights out and will give anyone a test on the run. So circle the game on that one. 4A District 10 must-see basketball. Great time to get out and support in those quarterfinals and semifinal rounds. 5A, you have District 9 with Clearwater, Seminole, Osceola, Northeast and Hollins battling off in the play-in game for a chance to face Clearwater. Clearwater is certainly the front runner in that, as the other teams look to shake things up. Seminole in a bit of a spot where it's possible that the Warhawks and Coach Hobbs make a run, win another game in advance to the district final, and could possibly find themselves with a regional spot. We'll certainly be interested to see how other districts across the region play out and see if things fall in the favor of the Warhawks as they check in at the number 2 seed in District 9 of 5A. 5A District 10, bunch of out-of-county opponents with Parrish and Sebring as the top seeds. Bogey facing off against Braden River, and St. Pete facing off against Southeast in those quarterfinal play-in games. Certainly a big chance for any of those programs to get a win. Bogey, certainly a tough team. Yeah, it's a great presence in the post with a lefty post. Dropped 32 against Keswick last week. Certainly a tough out for anybody in that lineup. Going through, you look at 6A District 9, Countryside checks in going into districts at they check in at number 6 in the region in the last rankings. Again, those will update after districts. That will include the final week of regular season plus district results. So it'll be interesting to see. Countryside in a spot, though, as a number 2 seed and number 6 ranked team in the region, where they could possibly book a state series run down the stretch. 7A District 10, it's certainly win or go home for Palm Harbor and Eastlake, a bit of a rivalry game in district competition. Be interesting to see how that shapes out. Eastlake, led by Caitlin Otto in the absence of Avery Chapman, and against a Palm Harbor team that's loaded with guards and an inside presence with Leah Barker in the inside. So be interesting to see how that one shapes up with a chance to meet Sickles, a tough team led by Beckham Hockley. Certainly a tough out, but never know. That's why you throw the ball up and let the games play. Tournament week, it's such an exciting time. Let's take a quick look at the leading scorers across the county. You have on the boys side, again, Ace Taylor checking in at 25 points a game. You have, let's see, we got 7 players averaging 20 plus on the boys side. Certainly an exciting, touches on Coach Baynard's point of how many leading scorers or young talent there is across the county. Ace Taylor sidelined with an injury and possibly with a return, but again, in his presence, 25.2 points per game, with Will Murphy following right behind from Indian Rocks as Indian Rocks looks to make a run down the stretch. And of course, not to be forgotten, Danilius Galambowskis from Admiral Farragut leading the charge for them. On the girls' side, 3 players averaging 20 plus a game. You got Ava Graham, the scoring Triple Crown leader over at Keswick, the all-time leading scorer, the single game scoring leader, and the single season scoring leader with over 500 points this year, averaging 21.8 points per game. Again, Kayla Pascal checking in at just over 20 points a game, and Alani Lovett at 20 even for Lakewood. Again, so much talent across the board. Such an exciting time of year. If you can get out and support and the district tournament week, again, the boys and girls both playing on the same week this week, rotating days. You have girls quarterfinals on Monday with the semifinals on Wednesday and the championships on Friday. And then on the boys side, it's every other day. So you got Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday on the boys side. Be sure to check in on FHSAA. Their bracket reveal show will be scheduled for Saturday afternoon for the girls and Sunday afternoon for the boys. So certainly look forward to tuning in, a little bit of a bracket madness, if you will, as we try and sort out how everything plays out. And then as you look ahead to the regionals, you have regionals, the quarterfinals on the girls' side start on Wednesday, February 14th. What better way to spend your Valentine's Day with a courtside seat for a regional quarterfinal matchup? I'm not sure how many people will agree with me on that, and I'm not giving dating advice on the show, but it's certainly a great way to get out and support high school basketball. The boys' quarterfinals action will tip off on Thursday, February 15th, and certainly you see the schedule there with the dates ahead. An amazing time of year for high school basketball in the county. You know, as we touch base a little bit on just the celebration of season, the celebration of individual accomplishments. You know, we had a great opportunity earlier this weekend to catch the middle school private school all-star game with a bunch of 8th graders playing over at Calvary. An amazing event put on by Coach Ray Sweatland from over at Skycrest in Calvary, with Kev Burley and Calvary hosting. And I share this because it's such a great opportunity to simply celebrate the success, celebrate the wins, you know, and as Coach Baynard so eloquently stated in his closing remarks there in our interview earlier, support the local programs, support the wins, support the losses. There's so many people putting in hours and hours of preparation through practice, through off-court conversations, you know, through support from the crowd. What better way to walk into a gym in a jam-packed gym as everyone's cheering, whether it be whichever team you're cheering for, get out and support local high school basketball. And what better way to do it in district tournament week this week. Check out the action. We will be sure to post all the schedules as best we can on social media. Once again, it's an amazing show. Great to catch up with Coach Tyler Baynard Thank you to Totem Pole Nation for hosting this week's show. We will certainly look to bring everybody back into the loop as we check in after district tournament week. Next week, we'll check in. We'll not only have the district champions known, we'll also have the brackets for the regionals that will be set by the time we sit down for next week's edition of Pinellas Courtside Connection. So be sure to follow on social media, comment on this, share this week's episode. Be sure to support local high school basketball in any way possible. And as always, thank you again for joining Pinellas Courtside Connection tonight. We look forward to seeing you on the courts. Take care.